Okay. All right, good evening. I would like to go ahead and call this April 17th, 2023 Sylvania Board of Education meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Hoffman?
Here.
Mrs. Conklin?
Here.
Mrs. Lavalette?
Here.
Mr. Feller?
Here.
Mrs. Johnson?
Here. Okay, stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is our first opportunity for public participation for items that are on our agenda. I don't think Amy's.
Somebody.
Okay. All right, so we're with you, Dr. Motley.
Thank you, Ms. Conklin. I would like to recommend item 3.1 regarding overnight field trips. We have 3 as listed. One you'll see is to accompany students from Arbor Hills, McCord, and Timberstone to the Ohio State University for the Ohio Science Olympiad State Finals. Way to go. Another is for a Southview High School teacher to accompany 19 students to the Ohio State University, again, for the Ohio Science Olympiad State Finals. And then a third trip, Northview Band Director to accompany 180 students to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland from September 8th through September 10th, which I hope to join them because that will give me an opportunity to see my dad and see the students. And so I recommend approval of those 3 overnight field trips.
A second. Any questions or comments?
I would like to say, I believe the students who are going to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not only are they performing, they're going to have some activities where they actually tour the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which would be great for young musicians to kind of see the history of music. It's a fascinating place. If you have never been, I strongly recommend that you attend.
Is this during the induction time frame?
It is not, I checked on that. It is not, that is true. It is not. Actually, the induction ceremony, they're going back to New York this year for the class of 2023, which is disappointing. It needs to be in Cleveland, but or still the best thing is our children get an opportunity to go and perform.
Call the roll?
Julie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Thank you. Tonight, it is my pleasure to recommend the appointment of Andrea Johnson as our new Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning here in the Sylvania Schools. Andrea and her husband are joining us this evening, and just to share a little bit about her, Ms. Johnson graduated from Anderson High School, which is at the Forest Hill School District outside of Cincinnati. She also completed her undergrad and graduate studies at Miami University. She began teaching high school English in 2001, so she is an English teacher at heart, a reader and a writer, I'm sure. She also attended Bowling Green University to complete her principal and superintendent's licensure. Since 2016, Ms. Johnson has served as the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, Assessment, and Communication at Pike Delta York School District, so she is well-rounded with a lot of different hats, because typically in smaller districts there are fewer people, but they wear multiple hats, so she is well prepared for this position. And currently she resides with her family in Swanton, and from what I understand in our final interview, she lives in a family home that's the 4th generation of her husband's. They're the 4th generation of her husband's family in this farmhouse, which is just kudos to you. Because I asked her if it was a century home, because we know with century homes sometimes there become century issues. But it's definitely a place where they have found a wonderful home to raise their family like generations before them. So it is with a strong recommendation that I ask for the appointment of Ms. Johnson to the Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning here in Sylvania Schools.
I'll move approval. I'll second. Welcome. Any other comments or questions?
Welcome, glad to have you join us. I've
Very
heard great
excited.
things about you.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be
here.
You're welcome, if you want to give any remarks or anything, you're welcome to. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I just want to say, thank you. I'm honored to be here and I'm very excited to get started. It is really an honor to be offered this position and I'm thrilled to take it and can't wait to get going. So, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, call the roll.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
It's official. And what is so nice, Carla being the caliber of person she is, she has offered to provide some transition days to help Ms. Johnson with her transition from her position here and working on some things together to make sure we don't miss a beat for our students. So we're excited. Thank you so much. Moving on, I would like to recommend item 3.3, which is an administrative resignation for Mr. Andrew Duncan, effective July 31st, 2023.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll.
Greg?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Thank you. I would like to recommend for approval item 3.4, which is a memorandum of understanding for reorganizing our SLPs, OTs, and PT positions within the reorganization of our district. And it is an MOU with SEA.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Quick question, what is reorganization?
I will
Taylor.
defer to Josh for that.
Yeah, when we go through staffing and staffing decisions, what happens is building administrators and department directors can reorganize the people in these positions.
Okay.
And so we do the same thing with our OT, PT, SLPs, because they work in local schools. So we reorganize them based on student needs. So maybe you are in Northview South View this year, maybe you're in Northview.
Okay.
So that's the reorganization piece. We usually do that all together. This is why the MOU there, we typically do it all together with the same reorganization timeline that we do with our teachers. But we wanted to get those jobs out to bid as soon as we can this year. And so we separated it out, basically saying that we did the jobs at the same time that we organized the SLPs and OTs, because our current SLPs, OTs, and DTs don't hold the current teaching licenses. So they couldn't get on the position. So it actually helped us move up.
Okay, so you're just moving up the timeline then?
Okay, call the roll.
Jill?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Thank you. I recommend item 3.5, which is an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between SEA and administration regarding EL summer school classes.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Julie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Thank you, and I am very happy and pleased with our administrative team as well as our OC leadership. We are recommending the approval to our Board of Education, the contract ratification between the Ohio Association of Public School Employees, our support staff, OPSE, and the Board of Education. We are pleased to bring a 3-year contract for approval.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you for bringing this forward.
Yes. Absolutely. Very good. Okay, call the roll.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have.
And we are with you, Mr. Jaworski.
Congratulations. I'm going to recommend item 4.1, standalone. So I'm recommending item 4.1, licensed substitute teachers.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Julie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jill?
Abstain.
Thank you. I'm recommending items 4.2 through 4.8 on a consent agenda basis. 4.2 is licensed active duty. 4.3 are licensed resignations. 4.4 is a licensed retirement. I want to thank Sarah Gladio for 37 years of service. That's fantastic educator. 4.5 is licensed disability retirement. I want to again congratulate Mary Cook. She's 28 years with us in the district. 4.6 is a licensed unpaid leave of absence for next school year. 4.7 is a licensed job share. And 4.8 is for the Aspire or the Able staff.
I'll move approval on a consent agenda basis, items 4.2 through 4.8.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Congratulations on those retirements. Thank you for your service. Call the roll.
Tammy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend items 5.1 through 5.5 on a consent agenda basis. 5.1 are classified new hires. 5.2 are classified resignations. 5.3 classified personnel changes. 5.4 classified retirement. And Deb Wilson, she's been at our Wills, not sure for how many years, but 26 years total with Savannah. 5.5 are classified additional hours.
I'll move approval on a consent agenda basis, items 5.1 through 5.5.
Second. Any questions? Congratulations on 26 years, Mrs. Wilson. Call the roll.
Jill,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Thank you. I want to recommend items 6.1 and 6.2 on a consent agenda basis. 6.1 are supplementals, and 6.2 are athletic competitions.
I'll move for approval on a consent agenda basis, items 6.1 to 6.2.
I'll second.
Any questions? All right, call the roll.
Kim,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, this is now the opportunity for our board committee reports. Let's start with you, Ms. Hoffman.
Sylvania Prevention Alliance, the big news is the director, Connie White, is leaving us to go taking her job. So our focus right now is to find a new executive director.
Mr. Fowler?
Just had Sage Yard and Sylvania Rec board meetings over the last month. Just, getting ready for the spring season. There's going to be new play equipment at Burnham Park. They're making some renovations at Burnham Park. That's installation is going to start here, I think tomorrow. And then I don't know if anyone's noticed, the gazebos at Centennial have come down to offer some more viewing for the national acts. And they're going to replace them with some portable tents for shade when needed. So
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah,
Well,
it's amazing the view. That
Yeah.
it's going to be pretty. Yeah.
Are they gonna open the pools same as every, or with the park being under construction, is the pool still gonna open at the same time? you think?
As far as I know, yeah.
Tammy?
I think it was April 5th, the image I took of the board. There was another meeting of the Northeast Southwood Joint Student Task Force for Mental Health, and I attended some of it. They had great ideas that they've broken down into short-term, mid-term, and long-term, and we are working to pursue those, and I still think with a plan to try to present some to the board at some point. So, and I think they're also working with their respective school principals on that. I think that's it.
Jill?
I attended SSBO meeting this past week along with Kim, and it was a great program, great meeting, actually. They had several different guests explaining the summer programs and summer opportunities that are available to the kids, and way more than I thought was available. And so if you're looking for something for your kid to do this summer, there's tons of stuff out there. And I think we can find that on the website, Amy?
It's on their Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to SSPO's Facebook page,
That's right, I just,
the meeting's on there, and then all of the library was there, Form Committed was there, which is an amazing program. The rec, STEM Center, yeah, and basically all of their programs that they showed are on their Facebook page, their PowerPoint, so. Parents looking to keep their kiddos busy this summer, check out the SSPO page.
and I, SES, Savannah Community Services, we now have an assistant executive director, so Sophia has some help. And her name escapes me at the moment, so I apologize for that. And we're also going to begin planning a strategic plan, actually starting this week.
All right, other than SSPO, I stopped over at the expo this weekend to see our folks and to walk around. It was it was a great event. It was really neat. I can only stay for a little bit in between dance and softball, so, but I was able to catch a couple performances, and I think Dr. Motley did as well, and it was a great event, so the Sylvania schools looked great. Our mascots walking around. It was a little hot in there when I was there, so I felt bad for the Northview fella, but it looked fun. Okay, so that's all I have. This is our second opportunity for, oh, sorry, I just skipped right on over that. Okay, we have Mr. Spees and Mr. Black here to talk to us about the alumni coordinator position. Would you like to come up and sit, or do you want to stand, or you want to just stay right where you are? There's some spots up front.
Sit right here.
Sure.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm Dave Spees. This is my high school classmate here in Black. One-room schoolhouse. We're dinosaurs. Actually, we're celebrating our 50th class reunion this fall, so.
That's awesome.
I graduated when I was 2.
Yeah.
At any rate, we've had within the district academic and athletic foundations for a couple, 3 decades. I started with the athletic side, Darren started with the academic side, and about 3 or 4 years ago, they were merged. We've had 2 directors since the merging, and we would like to have a 3rd director. We do have somebody in mind, and their role and responsibilities may take on a little bit different of a format from what we had with our first 2. We entertained we entertained several candidates maybe 2 years ago, and came down to 2 finalists. One was more fundraising focused, and the other was more organizational focused. And the thought of the selection committee was to go with the organizational. And we had that individual on board for about a year and concluded that maybe the directorship and the foundation should or needs to go in a different direction. So we've been without a director technically since the beginning of the year, but the reality is from a workflow standpoint for probably the better part of 6 months. And we would like to have a new individual come on board, more in a part-time as opposed to a full-time capacity. But to be candid, we're a little bit rudderless now, just relying on complete volunteers. Presently, the board consists of 14 volunteers, and then 6 people that have some sort of Sylvania Schools affiliation, including Dr. Motley, Julie, Amy, 2 building principals, and am I missing one there? That's it. So altogether, we're a group of about 19 people. It's our goal to meet monthly if needed. We have postponed a couple meetings just because of lack of activity, and we're just simply not going to have a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. Then I guess maybe we're looking to some direction from the schools as to exactly what you may want a foundation to do on behalf of the system. Much of it is alumni related, and then some of it could be a fundraiser. but to be candid, we're not capable right now of going out and raising multi-million dollars to try to fix or repair or enhance some of our athletic facilities. We may have approximately $1 million under management in the form of an endowment, so the idea is to keep that as principal and to live off the investment proceeds, award scholarships, stipends for the teachers, things like that. Mark Pugh chairs a committee that reviews that on a 6-month basis, makes recommendations for the appropriate grants and whatnot, and then we also select the scholarship awardees, some of which are renewal. Barron, I think, knows more about the
This year
academic
is an exceptional year. We had 5 students that we were able to award scholarships to, $2,000 a year for the next 4 years. At the same token, we had 4 come back to us asking for their second or third or fourth year of participation by us. So that is quite exciting to have. We've been concentrating heavily on the grants for our teachers and have had some wonderful requests, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to do things to help them. We've worked in conjunction with Toledo Community Foundation with the majority of our money. The Marjorie Fitkin money, for example, that's in excess of about $800,000. And every year through the Toledo Community Foundation, we're able to get enough interest that we're able to fund these scholarships. And never been a disappointing year working with them. They've been very good to us. So that's one good thing that's happening. We want to grow. We had a very successful Hall of Fame award ceremony. Many of you were there in the sharp suit. And so that was very, very nice. And I'm going to say we had 120 people there. We had 120 people there. We actually made money on the banquet, which was nice. Yes. Yeah, I think we made about $5,000. So it's coming. But like Dave said, we're a little bit rudderless now. I know we've got a great candidate. I think all of you know. And Jody Hess would be a phenomenal resource for us. A different tactic we're going to do. Right now, Sylvania is a wonderful community, but we don't have a lot of big business in Sylvania. But one thing we do produce every year is a lot of good students. And those students have never been, those alumni have never been, the hands never come out asking for money. So we want to do a campaign where we can actively, I don't use the word aggressively. I mean, we want to act aggressively, but we don't want to be aggressive. But we really need to reach out to these people and ask them for help. Find out what they would like to see us do, and then ask them to help fund it. So that's where our biggest concentration lies. If we're going to graduate 400 or 500 kids a year, and we've been doing this since 1950, whatever, I mean, shame on us for not asking. I was having a conversation with my son and his daughter. They're part of the Miami merger. They went to Miami University together. They donate money every year to Miami. Every year. Neither one of them have ever been asked by their high school to donate money. And I asked them, would you? And they said, oh yeah. Not as much as we get the university, but we'll gladly give money to them. And so it's just an untapped resource we haven't used, and we'd like to do that. So that's really it on the organizational side, on the academic side.
And I think the last time we talked about it, the board had some questions, which was why I think you guys came to answer any questions
Yeah.
we might have. And I think one of the questions was when the bylaws changed, there used to be 2 board members on, and then we were taking one. I think that was a question the board had as to, so I think it was that, like, why are we down to 1 board member, and why does that board member meet, or the superintendent have a vote on business? So I think, universally, I think everybody.
Those are great questions. I listened to the board meeting. To be very frank with you, I don't know why. I understand I'm the reason why, but I didn't know I was the reason why. But long story short, we have a governance committee. Rich McMillan, you're on that, Julie's on that, Rich McMillan's on that, and that's one thing I brought up to Rich. Look, you know, number one, I'd like the governance committee to maybe look into that, which he said he'd love to. But number two, you all need to tell us which way you'd like to see that. I mean, we're open to suggestion. And then if from what I understand, there's two types in Ohio, there's two types of foundations for schools, districts. Ones that are separate from the school district and ones that are inclusive with the school district. The school district funds, the school district operates. Then there's the other that is kind of what we've always been. We've kind of been, in the past, Julie, you're right, you voted and we kind of did a cross between the two. I asked Rich, could we still do that? He goes, yeah. There's no rule that says you can't. Okay, so I say why not? So if that's something, you know, give us your opinion, what you'd like to see. I think I know. Okay, give us your opinion, and then let's get the governance committee together and come back to the board with a recommendation.
Has there ever been a paid director for the foundation? Or is this a first time?
We've had three. First one was Jeanette Haradovich. This goes back,
That was just on the athletic side.
yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Prior to the merger, so Jeanette Haradovich was a paid director for at least 2, if not 3 years, probably the better part of 10 to 15 years ago. And then she stepped down or went elsewhere. She continues to be involved with nonprofit organizations within the Toledo community. And James Hall was maybe 3 to 4 years ago hired in. And then more recently, Sylvania Parent was also hired as a consultant. So I think we've had 2, what I would call regular W-2 type employees, and then we've had 1 1099 employee.
And like you said, Lauren was basically hired to help organize and put the structure in place, like the bylaws and things like that. And after that, when her stint would be up, so to speak, then we would just go out and get somebody to do it full-time or part-time. But they would actually be out there trying to raise funds. Lauren's job was not to actually raise funds, it was more to get us organized so we could start doing that.
How do you see the director functioning in terms of raising funds or getting people to help raise funds?
What kind of funds are you thinking?
I just understand that Jody has said I'm not a fundraiser, which is, you know, that's fine. Then what is her position in getting someone to raise funds? And I guess the question is, who does that now, and why would you need a director to get someone to do that?
I think
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Jody has a great mind, and she has a lot of enthusiasm, and she's an idea person. And I think what she could help us do is start targets for marketing. Okay? She's not the kind to go out and knock on doors. Okay? But that's not what we need.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We need to solicit to get funds. Not a little bit more than a donate button on the website. You know, you need a target market for marketing, and she can help us do that.
Okay.
Is that something she's willing to do?
I'm sorry?
Is that something she's willing to do?
Yeah,
It was actually
generally
really-
excited about doing it.
Okay, I wasn't
Yeah,
sure what the
yeah,
parameters
yeah.
of what she
And
was.
and like I said, you know, our primary target is going to be, we thought our first choice should be going after the alumni and soliciting for them.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
that makes sense.
but it's got to be constant. It's got to be all the time. And we need a face. And Jody would be great to be talking to the teachers. I mean, what we do with the grants, the teacher grants, is a wonderful thing to do. And you know who funds that? The teachers. I mean, some are giving $50 a pay. Some are giving 5%. You know, I mean, we should be soliciting that more. Okay, and letting them know, because the more they hear about it, then the more they ask. And it's been cyclical. It's been wonderful. The grant requests keep coming in. And fortunately, we've been able to fill them.
If you look at this graph or this well, and I would start at maybe looking at the 8 o'clock and working our way around to the 4 o'clock on a clock dial. collaborate with Sylvania Schools, the board, the community, assist and coordinate Hall of Fame, which has been very active for the past several years. But where we are lacking is the alumni engagement, the alumni relations. To some extent, communication with key stakeholders is already occurring, and then somehow coordinate the outreach to the community. So that's where I see a new executive director and whomever focusing their initial efforts. And Amy can attest to this, but I go back to the Nancy Crandall days when she was director of communications, and the Sylvania Schools trying to build a database of alumni. And we talked about it for probably 10 years, but it's never gotten any legs. And if you want to fundraise, you first have to communicate, and your second communication can't be with your hands out. We have to have a drip campaign. And whether it's a quarterly or semi-annual basis, you simply let know whatever your alumni base is, know what's going on in Sylvania Schools. We're graduating on average probably 600 students per year, 300 on an average at Northview, 300 in Southview, and it's probably been that way since Southview opened in first graduating class in 1977. So you think of the tens of thousands of students that have graduated from this, but they've never been communicated with about what's going on back at their alma maters. And please, while you're giving to whatever charitable organizations you are in your community, whatever charity universities you're contributing to, how about if you remember where you grew up, and that being the Sylvania Schools? And we haven't done that. And we need to build that database, but it can't be done on a volunteer basis. We need somebody to lead that charge. We meet, as I said, try to on a monthly basis. We have some committee meetings, but when we walk out of those meetings, we go back to our everyday lives. Whether it's work, it's dealing with family, whatever it might be. We are the 14 people, we are volunteers. We need a rudder out there, because right now, we got that sailboat kind of drifting in Lake Erie with no rudder on it. Sails up, but there's no rudder guiding us, and we need that.
If the district helps support a person to do that, would you be willing to share the database with the other booster organizations that might be, for example, if one of the high school bands are fundraising for uniforms, things like that, sometimes I think they have expressed an interest in accessing alumni for those types of things. And if there were a database that also indicated, hey, can you pull up the people who are, the alumni who are associated with band or orchestra or whatever, that they would be able to also share in that database.
I think that would be nice, yeah. Do something.
And I don't know the whole history of it, but I know at one point the academic and athletic merged.
Yes, sir.
Has there been any thought of unmerging, I guess?
No.
Do you know how hard it was to get a merge?
Let me explain why, or the kind of the thought process. And some of you have heard me refer to Frank Dick. Former superintendent, passed away within the last 6 months, and probably in his mid-90s. He's the gentleman who is responsible for coming to this community, recognizing in what dire financial straits they were from both a facility standpoint as well as running the district. And he told the interview team and he told the community, I'm here to rebuild the Sylvania Schools. So he was the gentleman responsible for negotiating, purchasing the horse farm that Northview campus is now on. But when we visited with him 3 or 4 years ago and told him about the separation of the academic and the athletic, and you got $800,000 sitting over on the academic side, and we're floating money for the Mel Nussbaum Stadium at Southview, he says you don't have a whole lot of money. You've got to merge those so you can go out and tell a good story. So that was the real impetus behind that. I don't, certainly we could entertain the notion of separating them, but I'm not sure in the end what we would be accomplishing. My opinion is whether you go after a star athlete who may have had some sniff at the NFL, etc., or if you go after Chip Davis, Mannheim Steamroller, somebody's going to have a hot button, whether it's academic, athletics, arts, band, orchestra, etc. And they're probably going to be more inclined to donate to a bigger pool than they are to a separate pool. Now, again, you may all have different thoughts, we'd be happy to entertain this.
Well, the one thing I haven't really been able to figure out is, so we've got the athletic, the foundation, which is athletics is a part of that, but then we also have, each high school has their own booster club that also raises money. So to me, it's almost like you got two organizations asking the same amount of people for money. And I never understood how,
The athletic boosters.
yeah, right, yeah.
I mean, each high school has a number of booster
Right,
organizations.
right. But so you've got the athletic boosters in the high schools asking their, theoretically their alumni for donations, and then you've got the foundation that's also asking the whole district. I guess I don't understand how those two can coexist.
They can, they should. My impression of the two high school booster clubs is their primary responsibility is to raise funds for cloth. And when I say cloth, uniforms. And there's probably a 3 or 4 year cycle that they're replacing cloth, at least at the varsity level. Maybe that gets passed down to the JV and ultimately to the freshman level. But I know that Chris and Jim are doing other things with their fundraising activities.
So so with the foundation fundraising have a different, I guess, target, for example, facilities as opposed to cloth?
But working with the ADs, yes. I mean, like, we've met with Chris over at Southview, and they would like a weightlifting room, they would, they like something, gymnast found some of the parents there want something to do with the baseball diamond, or a little bit more professional looking facility there. That's something that Booster Club couldn't afford to do.
I think it's generally, from my experience, the foundation's more big picture, big projects, and your boosters are there to raise money for those kids in that year, or carry over a little bit more for next year. But generally, smaller day-to-day operations, and then foundations.
So that's big dollars. I mean, you see the foundation getting to the point where they're, and you gotta
That is
understand,
our goal.
since I've been on the board, it's been, like, nothing's been raised, so I'm just trying to see how this is all
Well,
gonna.
yeah, no offense, but I take offense to that, because,
Well,
we throw $56,000 over to the Northview, so we have done what we can there. Yeah, our goal is to be able to do that, but, if Southview says we want X, we're gonna meet with them and see what we can do about raising the money for that. If the superintendent comes to us saying we want X plus, then we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about that and see what we're gonna do about moving that. So, and she speaks with us. It is, our goal is to be able to have goals to shoot for, and whether it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and meet those needs.
So part of this position would be establishing the plan and the goals and.
Very much so. Working with your people, not telling your people what to do. We're at their needs, so they tell us what they want.
And Greg, if you again look at the bottom of this will, maybe look at the bottom two categories, maybe the 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, the fundraising part, and they create the avenue for giving. We got to build the organization first before we can go out and ask for big ticket items. And even then, I'm not sure the foundation is capable of raising the type of big dollar amounts that the school system needs for their facilities. And I'll just look at what is Northview's football stadium. That thing's 65 years old, probably hasn't been given much attention in those 65 years, aside from the turf, the new lights and things like that. You look at your peer institutions within the NLL and the arms race that's occurred with that. And then when you travel to the new Fremont Ross and Finley and Whitmer and who else am I missing? The 4 new that are coming in the NLL. And you look at their facilities compared to Cat Stadium there. And then you consider what I consider to be anyway, the disrepair of the 2 tracks. Greg, you have some experience with those. Those both need attention. And candidly, with 5 schools running, and maybe even St. Joe's being the 6th, on only 2 tracks, we probably need a 3rd track in this community. And the logical place for that would be at Northview. But you can't build a 400-meter track on a 400-yard footprint until you knock down the stadium and rebuild. Right? So those are the big ticket items, and I know that the school board and Dr. Motley and probably a committee's looking at the facilities, but you might be wise to look at the athletic facilities within the scope of that. And if I'm a member in this committee, if I'm being a taxpayer in this community, If your need is, your ask is 30 million for just the academic, or if it's 40 million with the athletics, it's not going to sway me one way or the other as to push me towards a no vote. I'd still be supportive of it. And the more that you have in that, the more reason you're given for people to vote yes.
And what we have done is some of the larger projects, we participated a little bit in. You know, whether it was helping pay for some of the bleachers and the softball diamonds, you know, just things like that. We do what we can.
Right. How long would you, so I'm assuming at some point, I guess, how long do you think it's gonna be before this position would be like self-sustaining? Would you raise enough money to cover the position and then obviously continue raising more money for the projects?
You know, if you'd asked me 4 years ago, I would have given you a completely different answer than I tell you right now.
Yeah.
But look what we've lived with the last 2, okay?
Right.
It's in the choice. You're as good as your people. I think in this one, we got a gem. I really think we have a gem, Jim. And I see nothing but success in it. It's gonna be baby steps, but it's gonna get there. If we plan our work, she will work that plan. And that's what we need to do, I think. And I think we could be successful with that. I can't say a year, I can't say 6 months, I can't say 2.5, I don't know. But I got a feeling, I got to feel that if 6 months from now, we're going to be back where we're going. That's what we're going.
To piggyback on that, what's the plan for measuring the success of not only this position, and I'm taking the individual out of it, I'm just talking about the position. What's the measurement for the success of the position and the success of the foundation? And how is that, I mean, how is it going to be measured? How often has a like sliding scale salary been considered like X now? And as money is raised, salary goes up, et cetera, et
We
cetera.
talked about doing that the very first time, I think, you know, doing something like that, but that was for a full-time position. I think our metrics is going to be just the ideas we have, getting them done. I mean, that's what Arnie will do now, as Dave said, we're volunteers. I've got a business to run, he's got a business to run, you got I mean, we're volunteers. And so we can only do so much, and the nice thing for whoever this person is, if we should do something, they're gonna work probably under director of Dr. Rowley. So I know they're gonna be like that.
So that's who will be doing
I would
the
assume that.
evaluation of it?
I would assume that, that's what it's done in this past time, and it worked very well for a long time. I don't know how you feel about it, I guess I'm planting seeds. And I apologize, but
I'm very open to being involved in the evaluation. I think, from what I understand, the board would like some tangibles, because in the last 2 scenarios, the evaluation has looked very different for each situation, but I think having some tangible expectations with, are things going to be accomplished that the board would like to see and the foundation would like to see. And I'm more than happy to evaluate to make sure that we are on target and that we stay the course. And working with both the board's expectations for the position and the foundation board's expectation and being collaborative in that effort.
And I think speaking for, we have 4 vice presidents in our organization, an athletic, academic, alumni, and the arts, and that right there is going to be 4 people also that are going to be on top of things. We never had that before.
That is correct.
And that's going to be nice.
Did those 4 people just join?
No, there are 4 new positions, if you will, in the board.
Kind of restructured.
Oh.
Yeah, as far as the structure.
And those are the ADs or?
No, like in alumni, I'm in charge of vice president.
Oh, it's just 4 new positions?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It was part of the organization, the reorganization, I should say.
So my concern, and I think Julie kind of touched on it, was, as you said, we have great need in a lot of our facilities, athletic and academic, and we've got, we have need in one pot of money. And so trying to be the best steward if we're paying for this position, my concern is that I think that if the school is paying for this decision, they ought to have some voting power. You know, it seems to me that our board members should vote, Dr. Motley should have a vote. And I don't know what the voting structure is. You said there were six members of the school, you know, Mr. Pugh and Amy, and I don't know what the voting is. It's just, for me, if we're writing a check for the director, I just think we ought to have some skin in the game.
And I understand that. And you also mentioned the possibility of two, because Julie brought something to our attention, I think it was the last meeting. Because at one time, we had a board member on the academic side, and we had a board member on the athletic side. And when we merged, all of a sudden, we had one board member.
No, you still had two.
Oh, we had
We
two.
merged, yeah. It was just until this year when the bylaws got
Okay.
written in and the bylaws.
When I rewrote the bylaws.
Well, I actually didn't hear it was you, but, and then I got a call and then, because it was Kim and I. And it was like, hey, one of you's gotta go.
Yeah.
Kim got kicked off because she's got
Yeah.
younger kids, so she's
Again.
busy in the morning.
Talk to us. Tell us what you think we need.
Well, that's a big thing for me. I mean, if
Yeah, tell us what you
we're
think we need.
paying for the director, I want us to have a vote.
I think we need
How
two
many
votes.
voting members are
I think
there?
the board member needs a vote and Dr. Motley needs a vote.
Well, and I don't think our high school principals have votes. I don't think anybody connected to this school right now has a vote, right?
How many voting members are there?
14 plus the 6 schools, you said?
I think there's just 5.
I think there's, I think what I read was there's 8 voting. But I don't, we never had a disagreement, so.
Well, and I think I said, like, I still feel like I had a voice even if I
Yeah,
have a vote. I mean, and
exactly.
I feel like, you know, Dr. Romney has both ways for sure. You without the vote, I mean, I feel like if I was in there stomping my foot about something, then it would have gone with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
In theory.
As anybody, you know, as anyone. So, I mean, I hope you feel we're flexible.
And I've always, I mean, I think everything you say, I agree with, and I think would be perfect. It's just, you talked about whether it was the two different kinds of foundations, the one where that operates
Yeah.
separately, and
And
one
that's
where.
just something that.
Right, and we seem to have been hovering between two a little bit, and
We'll get a little
I
bit
feel like
of
we
this,
need to
little bit
pick a
of that.
side. And truthfully, since I've been on the board, we've been paying the salary of the director or consultant at one point, and I mean, it has been a rocky road. But I'm all for, I also think Jody will be amazing. So, I mean, I'm excited about it. I want to make sure that we're being responsible with the taxpayer money and getting a say. And I know that.
And I wouldn't be here asking or suggesting if I didn't feel the same way.
Right.
yeah, and I mean, I think I said this last time, like, this is the first time, and I was around when, you know, they merged the academic excellence and athletic. This is the first time that I would say I'm really excited. Like, I feel like this is the first time we really have the right person.
One of the things we can also do is build in an opportunity for the individual who is going to be in this position to come to the board and present on the analytics of their success, what they've been able to accomplish. Because I think in some ways it will be tangible, and in some ways it's going to be kind of like, this is what we're still organizing and doing and communicating. But I think because there is some accountability of our taxpayer dollars, it would be helpful if that individual would come and present a couple of times and give an update on what the foundation is doing and accomplishing and next steps and goals, because then we're all on the same page.
I think that'd be wise.
Any other questions? Thank you both very much for coming.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
As far as feedback from the board, how might they come and
I think from my perspective, as long as the product is available to the other booster organizations and there's some kind of board or superintendent voting representation, I'm gonna be okay with it.
It makes sense. I can't speak.
And that's my big thing, that we have some sort of representation, and there's, the fundraising is open to the boosters also.
And I just think too, going back to talking about the athletic directors, there was some hesitance on their part. So they don't want to give up any of their money.
Right.
You know, and I understand, but once they understood what we want to help them do, it was just like a load off the top.
Do you ever get, I mean, I've had conversations with people in this room and with people in the community. And, you know, we have these two high schools, and there's a very much a split sense of loyalty between the two high schools. And I know the foundation's trying to bring all that together. Do you feel that resistance out there in the community? Like, I only want to give my money to Southview, or I only want to give my money to Northview?
It's not resistance.
And that's why the boosters.
But we can do that.
Yeah.
But we can do that. You know, I won't say who, but somebody gave us some money for tennis. How did somebody, we wanted to go for this and this only. I give it to the AD, but he can't promise me that it will happen. Can you, yeah, we can do that. We do that on the academic side, we'll do that on the athletic side. That's no problem. As long as we know what they want. We'll do everything we can make it. It's legal, and it'll be happy. Thank you.
So I think that we didn't probably answer your question about how you're gonna get feedback. We have a meeting this week, right, Thursday?
It's still up in the air based upon this discussion as well as is there anything else of agenda nature.
Yeah, we have a couple, 3 things for agenda
Oh,
that I think would be good.
So
You were bringing donuts, so.
So probably you can.
I will be conduit.
She'll get feedback from everybody and then.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
And if we don't have the meeting on Thursday, we can meet
We
at
can
any
still
time.
connect, absolutely.
One-on-one,
Absolutely.
two-on-one, whatever.
I know Jody was saying that as she's working, she didn't have anything to discuss, so, but even if we meet with virtually or with the folks at the table, we can certainly, we'll connect.
I would just like to say one more thing, to be clear. My biggest concern is appropriate spending of taxpayer money, and that's where I'm coming from.
Understood. And I appreciate the hesitancy. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We are now at our second opportunity for public participation for non-agenda items. Okay, and so I'm gonna call up your names, and then you have 3 minutes. When you come up, I'll ask you your name and your address, and then you'll have 3 minutes, and I'll try to keep it to that. So first, we have Carrie Crone.
Hello, do you want me to stand up if I sit?
You can sit, you can stand,
Okay.
whatever makes you comfortable.
I'm a little nervous, so.
That's fine.
My name is Carrie Crone. I live at 5639 Talmadge Road. I am here tonight because of some escalating issues at Northview High School. I've spoken with multiple people, and when I say multiple, I've talked to Mrs. McElwain, I've talked to Mr. Monahan, we've talked to the resource officer, I've been downtown, spoken with the juvenile prosecutors about the situation. I think I spoke to Ms. Hoffman at one point, Mr. Ziroff. And it seems to me there is a major disconnect with what's actually going on at Northview High School and how it's being taken care of. There's been multiple issues of bullying, physical bullying, cyberbullying on different social media platforms, which has escalated into physical altercations multiple times at the school. And from what with all my legwork, nothing has been done about it. Like, I know that when I talked to Libby, Mrs. McElwain, just when the kids, the first day back from school from spring break, there was a brawl at like 10 o'clock in the morning that was incited by a social post that happened the night before. It is, from what I've done with my research and everything, and it's been an ongoing issue with the same group of people. These students have been, according to Ms. McElwain, multiple suspensions, which what I've heard through the grapevine, I don't know what the policies are, but after so many suspensions, they're due for expulsions. None of that stuff is happening. I was also told by the resource officer that when stuff like this happens, and he finds that there is, and Libby told me when I talked to her that day that she has filed multiple Safe School Act orders against these people, these students. And that once she does that, she takes it to Resource Officer Clay, and he determines whether or not charges get filed. He stated to me just a couple days ago, gave me a police report number, that he has filed charges with these same students. And when I went down to the juvenile prosecutor's office, they have no record of anything being filed. When I spoke to Ms. Hoffman, she had no clue that any of this stuff was going on at Northview. When I spoke to Mr. Zira, nobody knows what's going on there. There's altercations between a lot of these students, the same students, like once every other week, every 3 weeks. Physical altercations. My daughter has been on the short end of the stick with this, unfortunately, since the beginning of school. We've had multiple, and when I say multiple, like at least 6 or 7 meetings with Mr. Monaheim, Mrs. McElwain, the resource officer. We've been down to Sylvania Police Department. And it seems to me like if stuff isn't getting handled at the school, that it should be taken to the superintendent or the school board to have something being done. Like if these people who are in the position to take care of these specific situations are not able to handle what's going on, then something needs to be changed. And when I say it's escalating, I mean it's gone from, from cyberbullying, everything that you can think of has happened. And when I spoke with the people some of the people in this room, they have no clue, which was shocking to me. I've sat on a board before and we give in our departments an actual recall of what happened that month. They have no clue. Now, I know when I talked to Ms. Hoffman, she said at one point the board was given reports from all of the schools, whether it was quarterly, semi-annually, about every student who was getting disciplinary actions, whether it was a suspension, what the issues were, an expulsion. If that's not happening, I would urge you guys to maybe reinstate that so you guys are aware of what's going on, especially with all the stuff that's going on in the schools. There was a school shooting at Whitmer. That's not far away. And it's already getting to the point of threatening and physical violence in the school. A lot, way more than it ever was. And it's just escalating.
All right, thank you very much, right?
If I could,
Sure.
I just want to, I told you, it used to be like pre-2015, we used to get expulsion reports, not discipline reports, because I think I told you when we spoke, like.
Well, I wasn't sure. I knew it was, you
Yeah.
got a report of some
Yeah,
sort.
just expulsion reports, but I think I also explained to you that, no, we have 8,000 students, and the board, we don't run the schools, so we're not in the buildings, and that's not something we generally would get involved with, is discipline. The only way something like that would come in front of us is if a student was expelled, and, they appealed it up to Dr. Motley, and she upheld it, and then they wanted to appeal it, the final stop would be the board, but generally, we don't, I think I explained it to you, we don't get information.
I feel as a parent though at Northview, like if I've taken every single step multiple times, like at what point
Yes,
is it gonna stop?
That's when you do get to us, but I think that's when I put you in touch with Mr. Zeroff, because he would be the next.
Yeah, and he had no clue that it was going on either, and I did everything that he suggested, and I spoke to Officer Clay, and, it's just been like pass off the football. And
Really
it's getting
frustrating, I hear
very
that.
frustrating as a parent to have this go on the whole school year. And again, like I said, the violence is just getting worse. So I think that's something, I don't know what you guys can do, but I think you definitely, as a school board, should know what's going on in the high schools, especially with the whole situation in the U.S. with high schools and school shootings and violence. Like, this is something that the board should definitely know about. And
We
be taking
appreciate
into
you.
consideration.
We do appreciate you coming.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
If I may, as to respond to Mrs. Rama, I will reach out to you this week
Okay.
and learn more about your daughter's situation and
I
what's going
appreciate
on.
it. It's not just my daughter either, like there's.
Well, and I will only be able to speak to you about
That's
your
okay.
daughter,
That's okay.
but I will also circle back with our team here and gather more information.
I would
And
appreciate
then I
that.
will also share what I learned and report back with our board.
I appreciate that, thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Okay, next we have Tammy Rupel.
I think she's the one that left.
Oh, okay. Marcus Zapata.
How's it going? Marcus Zapata, 5841 Jeffrey. I'm going to try to make this official within your 3-minute time limit. While there are many things I'd like to cover today, I'm going to start with priority number 1, that is school safety. I want to ensure that when our kids get to school, they will be returning home. We don't need to enact laws or infringe on rights to get that job done. It needs common sense and it needs funding. As Southview students walk out demanding change for gun violence, something was missing. There was no conversation about simply safeguarding the schools. In November, it became known that the district sent out an email about an intruder at Southview, Hussein Salah Al-Mazawi, entered our schools on at least 2 different occasions. This man was found to be charged with aggravated menacing, knowingly caused to believe physical serious harm, as he cornered a female in a changing room and attempted to gain entry to force sex on her. That was in Toledo. Nobody in the district knew about it. You guys were all very lucky that this man didn't encounter a female at Southview when he did get in after hours. With that incident, I've got questions. Who was responsible for filing trespass charges? Why did it take 2 engagements with this man to file trespass charges? What actions have been taken to prevent unauthorized access to our buildings after hours? I believe this was right after school had taken place. It was probably sporting events. And was anyone reprimanded for leaving the access open? I recall a few years ago, the district looked into replacing our first floor glass with Lexan or bulletproof glass. Instead of investing in this and securing our building, the district decided to put a safety levy on the taxpayers that, when dissected, was more of a capital improvement expense than anything that would prevent an intruder. It just shows what happened after the fact. When that levy failed, the talk about glass upgrades disappeared. When I walk into Highland to volunteer for my children's classes twice a week, I go through a glass vestibule and scan my ID through the Raptor system. Now here's the problem in what we witnessed in Nashville. Glass does not stop someone with a weapon. I think about this every time I enter. Now we've seen my worst fears brought to reality in Nashville. Furthermore, TPD SWAT team literally has that built into their protocol to use shooting through the windows as a second method of entry. So if they can do it, anyone can do it. I've heard that Southview sometimes will keep their inside vestibule door unlocked or propped open. Kind of defeats the whole purpose. Now, as much as I'd love to tour all the schools, I know that would create some chaos. A township officer friend of mine has kids at Hillview. He has told me that ease of access is far too easy. Schools are gun-free zones. Gun-free zones make up 80% of all mass shootings with the exception of gang-related shootings. This makes schools a soft target, minus a resource officer that may be in the building, but we only have one of those at Northview and Southview. I'm not advocating for everyone carrying guns in school, simply saying that. I'm just stating facts. If you don't have anyone able to encounter an active shooter, why don't we have an impenetrable first floor? After a tragedy, everyone wonders, how could this happen? Safety should be proactive and something we do our best to get ahead of. We need everyone on the same page. Locked vestibules with Raptors inside and Lexan to prevent somebody from gaining entry seems like a very reasonable way to do that. And again, you don't have to change a law to get that job done. Side note, I asked for the current director of safety to contact me about 3 weeks ago. I'm still waiting on that call. And lastly, as we've seen the debacle unfold at Anthony Wayne, what is Sylvania's official position on letting trans and non-binary students use restrooms of their choice? Because Anthony Wayne kept it a secret for a period of time. I'm hearing from other parents that we are having similar issues at schools in the district. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. I would just like to know what the official position is from this district. Sorry if I projected too loud.
That's okay. Thank you. Okay. At this point, I would like to move that we go into executive session. Will we be for the purpose of employment of public personnel, and we will not be taking action after the executive session.
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Amos?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.